Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Alex, and good morning, Ben. Can you just type something in the chat just to let me know that you can hear me okay, please? If you can hear me, can you just type in the chat? Fantastic. And Ben, can you hear me okay? Can you just type oh yes in the chat? Okay, nothing from Ben, but he might be back. Oh yeah, he's typing. Brilliant. Okay. Fantastic. So there's only a couple of you online this morning. It's half term, isn't it? It's a sunny morning. So thank you very much for coming. So we're here, quick for a 15-minute quick fire webinar this morning to talk about why employers love recruiting sports people and why being involved in sport, no matter what the sport is and what the form is a really beneficial and useful thing to do. First of all, it's thoroughly enjoyable. I love sport. I've got a background in sport. I play netball, I run, I love cycling, swimming. So I'm into all these things as well. So as there's only a couple of you, we can interact a bit. It'd be great to hear from you in the chat. Just type in anything, anytime, any questions. I'll be asking you some questions as we go along if that's okay. So what sports do you play? Just before we crack on, and then I can perhaps use them as some examples to give you a little bit of context to the webinar. Fantastic, Alex. Good stuff. And Ben, do you play any sports? He might be back in a minute. Oh, he's typing. No worries, Ben. Are you involved in any sport? Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, so two footballers and fitness fanatics. Brilliant. Okay, so just bear with me. Okay, so what we're going to do today, I want you to go away 15 minutes and I want you to be able to have identified really the skills that you gain from being involved in sport and to understand how you can sell those confidently to employers, and then to think about going forward, whenever that is. I'm not sure what year of study you're in, but whenever that is, whether it's going to be soon or next year, I want you to think about how you're going to sell those your skills and experiences in sport to employers, on your application forms, on your CVs, and also especially at interview. So, I have a friend of a friend, Laura Hartley. She works for Laura Hartley Recruitment over in Darwin, in Blackburn with Darwin. And I was speaking to Laura about this, and she kind of provided a little bit of a video really, which I'm going to play to you shortly, and also a quote to say that she's worked in recruitment for 20 odd years. She's been into contact with a lot of different employers, and she says everyone should have sport on their CV. It doesn't have to be a team sport. Obviously, most of the sports you're involved in, football are team sports, which is great because you do gain a lot of skills for them. But whether it's golf or any of these kind of individual sports, can also show great levels of dedication and commitment to improving performance. And that mirrors the feedback that I've had from employers over the years, as well. I mean, you see people, they put different kind of activities and hobbies and interests on a CV. It can it can be anything from socializing, reading books, going to the cinema, and you think, well, really, there's no point putting anything like that on a CV because of the kind of things that a lot of people enjoy doing, and it doesn't really show off any particular skills. Where if you're involved in something like sport, for example, and you could say music and other things as well, art maybe, for example, that show high levels of dedication, commitment, improving performance, all these kinds of things. being with other people and perhaps having, some kind of role, perhaps within a team or working on your own performance. These are the kinds of things that employers, really want to see on CVs and really value. So I do have a little, WhatsApp message from Laura, which I am going to play to you shortly. I think it's always good to hear it from us, but also from the horse's mouth, from an employer as well. So before we move on, can we just throw it out there in the chat? What skills do you feel that either you or somebody else, if because might want to think more broadly about other types of sports or different skills. What kind of sports do you think you and people can gain from? What kind of skills do you think you can gain from being involved in sport? And then we'll have a look at the ones that I've put together. As many as you can. Just give you a minute, throw it all out there, and then we'll go through some of them. Yeah, teamwork, definitely for all team sports. Leadership, yeah, potentially. Communication, definitely. Self-awareness, absolutely, because you're in situations that you may never have been in before, and you're learning about yourself and how you deal with certain situations and what you're capable of and what your strengths are. Absolutely. Thank you, Ben. And Alex saying communication, yeah, absolutely. Organisation, of course. It's not just, you don't have to be a captain of a team for that. Just organising yourself and your own timetable, knowing where you should be and, when your matches are, all those kinds of things. Being adaptable, absolutely, because things change. You have to be flexible. Working under pressure, yeah, definitely, especially as a goalkeeper. Collaborating with others, great. Empathy, yeah, empathy for the people that you're working with, because it could be quite highly stressful and sensitive situations. Obviously, especially within football. So yeah, absolutely. And emotional intelligence, yeah, that's really really interesting, Alex. So that's obviously about being able to kind of read people and to understand yourself and manage your own emotions, but also communicate well and read other people and their emotions and respond appropriately as well. And that's a really really important skill. And there's actually books that have been written about there about business management and leadership. How you can be the most intelligent person in the world with all the qualifications and all the experience, but actually, it's that emotional intelligence that really kind of takes kind of those leaders to a really high place. If you don't have that emotional intelligence, then you're not going to progress your career as well as you could do. And it's kind of like a bit of an innate kind of skill and ability, but it's also something that you can build on and you can learn and you can develop through sport. Absolutely, yeah, love it, fab. So let's have a look at some that I put together. So let's have a look at some of the ones that perhaps we've not mentioned so far. So yeah, diplomacy, conflict management. I'm sure you've had lots of experience of situations, both of you, of fallouts and disagreements about the way things should be done and who should play where and whatever else where you should go for your team social. So yeah, that's a really really important skill. Commitment and dedication. Because you've got to commit to your training plan and your training schedule and your fitness your fitness schedule, and you've got to be at your matches on time, and you've got to know what's going on. So that shows a really really high level of commitment and loyalty and reliability as well. Relating to people of all ages. So Alex, you say that you're a coach. I don't know what kind of ages that you whether it's a range of ages or a certain age group, but often within sport you're communicating with people of all different types of ages. I play netball, for example. Within our team we have people from kind of age 18 to kind of 62. So yeah, right, yes, 16 upwards, so a variety of ages again. So yes, often you come into contact with and you're working with and playing with people from all different ages. Flexibility, don't forget about flexibility. Things change all the time, whether it's halfway through the match, I don't know whether you're having a change of position or someone gets injured or people are sick or injured and you need to step in for matches, and lots of other examples of things that you can probably think of that happen. So flexibility is a really key skill that you gain from being involved in football and lots of different sports. Time management. Obviously, you're both students, you may have part-time jobs and other responsibilities. You've got assignments to be in, a degree to do, a life to have, all sorts of things that you're managing as a student. So often, people that are involved in sport and dedicated and committed to sport, whether as a player or a coach, can give some really good examples of time management. Okay. Your health and well-being management as well. I mean, that's a really important kind of buzzword really at the moment out there in the world of work. It's about that self-care. You may have heard these things. Looking after your well-being and your work-life balance, which is a really kind of key message at the minute for people that are at home and homeschooling and managing full-time jobs and so on. So often, I know people that have been for interviews in the police, to be a police officer, for example, and you're asked as part of your interview, what do you do for your self-care? What do you do for your stress relief? How do you look after yourself? So obviously, if you talk about playing football and whatever else you're doing, going to the gym, going out for a run, and you talk about those positive effects on your mental well-being, that employers want to know this because they want to know that you do positive things to release the stress and recharge. Motivational, especially if you're coaching, you're using your motivational skills to encourage other people. That's all really important for lots of different types of jobs, especially if you're looking towards mentoring and supervisory and leadership roles. Follow instructions. We all have to follow instructions at work. At the end of the day, the captain or your coach, what they say goes at the end of the day often. So you have to follow instructions just like you do in the world of work. So that all mirrors everything. Being analytical, again, it can be from players up to kind of vice captains and coaches. You're looking at the match, you're seeing what's going on, you're giving your input, you're giving your suggestions, using all those kinds of skills. Sociable, or sociability. Often there's I remember my A level PE teacher, Cliff Olson, who actually teaches at UCLan. I was head of sports coaching. Not sure what course you're on and whether you know him, but I always remember he was saying when I did my A level PE with him many moons ago now. There's something a little bit different. Yeah, you know him. Yeah. Cliff taught me A level PE a long time ago. But he used to always say, "Oh, is he one of your mentors?" Yeah, I really like Cliff. He had a lot of he was my personal tutor as well at college, and he had a lot of time for us. He was really good. But he used to always say there's something a little bit different about sports students. Do you not think they're a little bit more outgoing, they're a little bit more sociable? And I have heard kind of employers say, we like to kind of hear from sports students. We like them to apply for our roles because of that reason. Confidence, you develop a lot of confidence from the things that you're involved in. And determination, you might set yourself a goal, whether it's to do with your own performance or your team performance, and achieve that goal. So you can give all those examples. Dealing with setbacks, again, all examples that you can give. So I hope that kind of helped to kind of expand your repertoire of kind of skills that you feel that you've kind of gained from sport. Is there anything else that you've not mentioned in the chat and that I've not put in my slide that has just come to you as a light bulb moment at all? Anything else that we've not mentioned? Or now we're talking about it, you're thinking, oh, I'll do that and that could show this skill. Just pop it in the chat. Just wait for Alex to finish typing. Everyone's typing now. Yeah, no worries. Well, you might, once you start thinking about it afterwards, other things might come to you because this is by no means completely exclusive. So there might be other things that you think of as well. So moving on, because I'm conscious it's 1:15 now, and I'm sure you're really busy, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to kind of throw it out there to whoever was going to be online today. Is that what I want you to kind of start thinking about after this webinar is some examples from your sporting life and your kind of sporting experiences. So think about things, for example, perhaps kind of have like a pen and paper, do a little bit of a brainstorm or a spider diagram or whatever works for you, and think about how you can demonstrate how you've demonstrated dedication to your sport or your team. Um, Anytime that perhaps you've stepped up for your team and exactly what you did. Anytime you may have motivated a team player, and what was the result. And again, you do not have to be captain, vice captain, coach for that. Anyone can, say something or suggest something to a team player to motivate them, which may have a positive effect on them. Think about how you've managed your workload to make time for sport. Think about exactly what you've done step by step. Think about a time when you've had a setback of disappointment. So you may not have done the team, or may have lost a particular match that was really important to you, or gone down in the league, or you felt you played particularly rubbish one time, and think about the effect that that can have, obviously on the team and your mental attitude, and think about what you did to bounce back from that. If you've had any extra responsibilities, and it might just be helping out organising a social night out or something, or you might have been a captain, for example, or a coach. Think about writing down step by step the extra responsibilities that you've had. Think about when you've been determined to improve your performance, exactly what you did, how you dealt with any conflict that may have arisen, and think about the flexibility. Think about any times where things may have changed last minute, and think about how you reacted positively. So there's a few kind of examples to get you thinking about, really, because it's not just good enough just to have the fact that you played sport and you're involved in sport on your CV and just to tell employers that at interview. You need to really give them the examples, and you really need to convince them that you can demonstrate these skills, and you have demonstrated these skills in your sporting life. It's never enough to say to employers, I've done this and I've done this and I've done this. You always need to what's the word I'm looking for? Spell it out to them, step by step, really, because it makes it interesting for them to hear. You tell them a story, it makes you memorable, and it kind of it proves to them that you've actually done this and you've used this skill as well, and it can help them to visualize you using that for you. So Alex, you're talking about your USP there, your unique selling point. So tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that. How you see it working for you. Absolutely, yeah. So you feel that your involvement in your kind of goalkeeping coach at Five Ladies, that's your unique selling point. Absolutely. So to get that across, you have to think about perhaps when you're creating a CV, that could be in your think about your unique selling point should be in the personal profile of your CV. That short snappy paragraph at the top of your CV. So you can include that in your CV. You can include that maybe in your key skills section. It should be part of your opening statement when you're talking to employers formally or informally, and they're saying, "Tell me about yourself. What have you got to bring this position?" So you make sure that this is kind of not the only thing that you talk about, but it's part of your USP, and that you make sure that this is the forefront of your mind when you're speaking to employers and you're giving examples on paper or in person. Absolutely. Okie doke. Just want to quickly talk to you before I show you Laura's WhatsApp video. I was want to quickly talk to you about the STAR approach to interview question. Have you ever come across this before? So this is like a little bit of a structure for you to help you when you're talking to employers. Yes, okay. So just to go over it, so Ben hasn't heard, so I'll just tell you a little bit about it briefly. So what it is, it's a little bit of, like I say, like an invisible structure for you to help you when you're giving examples to employers, either on an application form, giving evidence about things that you've done that meet the person specification, or when you're at interview. So you might be asked, for example, it's not really for questions that are like, tell me about yourself and what strengths can you bring, and tell me about weakness. Not really for questions like that, but for questions where you're like competency questions where you've asked, can you give me an example of a time where you have used your communication skills, or you have been flexible, or you have solved a problem, or you have overcome a setback, or whatever it is, all these kinds of competencies, then you should use a STAR approach. What it does, it's a bit of structure for you. You don't say to the employers, I'm going to tell you this now using the STAR approach. It's an invisible structure for you in the back of your mind. It stops you waffling, it keeps you on track, and it helps you tell the employers a story and tell them exactly what they need to do and to really make that impact. So first of all, the S is for situation. So you set the scene. Where were you? Why were you there? When were you there? The task is what was required, what was you doing? The A stands for action, which will be the largest part of your answer. And that's focusing on what you did. Yeah, there might be other things that other people did. It might be a teamwork situation. That's fine. Bring that in. But really, the crux of that is what you did in that situation. That should be the largest part of this answer. The R stands for a nice positive result, a happy ending. Use figures where you can and evidence. So I'll just show you an example of what I mean. I'm not going to read it out to you. I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes, and I'm sorry the writing's quite small, but just have a look over this for a couple of minutes. This is an example from netball that someone could use. If they're asked, for example, of a certain kind of competency, this is an example of, the kind of things that they can say. Just have a couple of minutes looking over it. Okay, so the question is, it will have been about a time where you kind of improved your performance or shown some dedication to something. When you've finished reading it, just type finished in the chat box. Okay, so can I just have your thoughts on this example? Or just your thoughts on the STAR approach, really, in general, and yeah. So they show that they're willing to go out their way to improve themselves, so they can play this role in the team. Exactly. Show that they're committed to it. Concise, concise. Ben, yeah, exactly. And that's what the STAR approach kind of helps you to do, really. It shows the skills that they've learned and how they've come with that. Yeah, it is almost like a story, really. So it gives you some structure, doesn't it? And it also makes it easy for the employer to follow and interesting for them to hear as well. So I hope now you can start to maybe think about, whenever the time's right for you, think about the skills that you've used in sport, and think about the examples that you have, and put some examples together of certain skills using the STAR approach. Okay, so when you've done that, if you want to run them over with me on a one-to-one, or you've got an interview coming up and you want me to have a look over one of your application forms, or for us to have a practice interview or a mock interview, then please book in with me. You can just book in on Career Edge. You can book an appointment there. Ideally with me, probably should have introduced myself properly, but I'm Francesca Smith. I'm one of the careers advisor that covers a number of schools in the university, sport and health sciences being one of them. So you don't have to see me. If I'm not available, you can book in with any other advisor that can help you with this, but ideally with me. So there's, the advice and support doesn't stop you. You can come back at any time, for some help with this. So just before we finish off, what I'm going to do, just before we do that, I'm going to show you the WhatsApp video message that Laura from Laura Hartley Recruitment sent to me. Hopefully you should be able to hear it okay. I'm just going to press play now. It's only a minute and a half long.
Hi Fran, it's Laura. Hope you're well. Yeah, just a few pointers really. I like seeing sports on the CVs. If they've been a captain, that's brilliant. It shows leadership skills and qualities. If they've been part of a team, it shows commitment, dedicated to going to the training, being part of something as a group with the same vision and goals in sight, working together, supporting each other, coaching, training, that kind of thing. Common goal is something that I like to see because it shows they've got that ability to be part of something. Individual sports, things like golf, doesn't take overnight. It takes a lot of practice and dedication. So from that point of view, I like to see that they've put the hours in practice, and I ask those kind of questions. So you play tennis, how often do you play on a weekly basis? Are you competitive? Doesn't matter if they are or they're not. For me, the answer is just whether they turn up to training, if they're committed to being part of that session. If they're competitive, great, it's another bonus, and it depends what role they're going for, obviously. But you know, sports should be part of everybody's CV. Recently, we've been seeing a lot more things like competitive in fishing, which is don't often see that. There seems to be a new group of people looking to do fishing. So again, asking them what do they get out of it? You know, there's a lot of patients sat there waiting. So it's looking at the individual sports and identifying what key skills come out of that. What do they need to do to be successful in that sport? Whether that's individual.
Okay, I think that was cut short there, but I think that's pretty much the end of it anyway. So just a little bit to back, a little bit from the employer to back up what I was saying really. And obviously kind of like to hammer home the point that, it's not enough just to say I'm involved in sport, I'm involved in football, I've played football for years. It's about, you'll be asked questions, you'll be asked to go into more detail, you'll be probed. So start to think about the skills like Laura said and start to think about the examples. Okay. Could you hear that okay? Brilliant. I thought you could, or you would have let me know, just in case I have to deliver this again, just so I know. Brilliant. Okay. Well, with all the runners, we always do with my webinars, because I go on, and I like to utilise the chat and speak to people. But so just before we go, just wanted to have a little think about just do one word or a few words. Just pop it in the chat. What's the main thing, or one of the things that you'll be selling to employers from your sporting experiences? Coaching skills. Great. There's a few, but the big one from today's commitment. Yeah, fantastic. You talked about your fitness and stuff, Ben. It doesn't always have to be just the football. You keep up on date with your fitness, whether you go to the gym or you run, lift weights, whatever you do. That all is part and parcel of it as well. That really kind of shows big commitment. Yeah. Didn't realise turning up twice a week in the pouring rain, plus the gym is there. You're showing commitment. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. Well, I hope I've enabled you to think outside the box really, and just to think, well, actually, turning up to football, turning up to the gym, it's not just something that I do. It's actually showing a lot more, and hope you feel a bit more confident in putting that across to employers now. Has anyone got any questions before we finish? No worries, Alex. You're welcome. Brilliant. Okay. So I think our admin team will email you these slides and the recording if you wanted to look over it again. But yeah, just remember that if you need any help, it's Francesca Smith. Just go on to Career Edge. Do you know Career Edge? Have you been on to Career Edge before? If you, yes, yeah. Brilliant. Okay. You could book an appointment there with me or any of my advisors. You need help with anything, talking about career plans, CVs, application forms, looking over your LinkedIn profile, mock interviews, looking into different careers, information that you need. Whatever it is, booking with us. It's lifelong career support as well. It's not just while you're here, technically as a student. Once you graduate, whether it's 6 months, 18 months or 15 years, you can come back for this support at any time when you apply for your promotions and all those kinds of things. So just come and knock on our door any time. And if I don't hear from you, then best of luck with your future career plans. I thank you very much for coming. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you. Right, yeah, I shall catch you later maybe.